Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Harley lovers around the world, welcome back to another episode of the Knuckles Up podcast, presented by Sykes Harley-Davidson. Knuckles Up is a dive into the world of all things Harley, recorded at the illustrious Sykes H-D, the South Coast's premier destination for Harleys, nestled in the beautiful Sussex South Downs. I'm, as always, Elliot from Sykes H-D. I will be your host through this wonderful journey of all things Harley on a slightly squeaky chair today. The Knuckles Up podcast drops on the last Friday of the month. You can watch and subscribe over on the Sykes H-D YouTube channel, and you can listen wherever you get your podcast. So we've got a bit of a wet one today. Hopefully the rain won't stop play. There's kind of like a skylight above us, so hopefully the rain holds off and it doesn't interrupt this lovely podcast with the sounds of rains, but I'm sure that will probably just send everybody to sleep. No doubt you're probably sending yourselves to sleep through the dulcet tones of me waffling on for half an hour or so through these podcasts. So anyway, we're back again for another episode, and back to the singular guest for this one. If you've not checked out the last episode, we were joined by the lovely Bobhead boys and definitely had a lot of fun with that one, despite them being northern and a little bit harder to understand. They'll probably hate me for saying that. I've milked that joke far beyond its life. Anyway.
I don't think you can say that.
I know. So, if you were at MCN with us at London over the weekend, even if you weren't, you might have seen we did have a couple of custom projects on display, which leads us nicely into this episode. So, we're going back through the Sykes staff again, and I'm joined by one of the longest serving. I mean, you are longest service, even if I get my words right. There's probably the correct thing in there. Either way, he is one of the longest serving members of the Sykes team. God, this is a good start, isn't it? Can you tell that I'm really tired today and haven't had that much sleep?
It's going to be a long afternoon.
Classic Knuckles Up podcast, like professional as ever. Anyway, everybody at home, please welcome Mr. Gary Ticehurst. Welcome, Gary. How are you?
I'm good. Feeling good.
Thank you for coming along. This is a bit of a baptism of fire, I guess, for you to come in, podcast, sit down. But we're basically working our way through the entire staff now. Although the bonus is, if you're not workshop, you don't have everybody sat outside the window trying to put you off. So unless Moy is out there like trying to, throw a spanner into the works, I'm sure that'll be funny.
Well, he did say something about coming in here and taking some pictures for a story, but
he doesn't want to go out in the wet. So let's see. It's not raining at the moment, so we're actually all right. Anyway, I like the fact we're off on tangents already. So I'm sure a lot of the site's customer and fan base are more than familiar with you, Gary, because you've been here a little while.
Yep, 20 years, coming into 21.
You're not allowed to jump ahead too far.
Sorry.
I do have questions. So, for those of you those who do not know you, Gary, give us a super quick synopsis of who is Gary Ticehurst, but don't give too much of a detailed synopsis, because otherwise then I'm going to not have any questions to ask you. But who is Gary Ticehurst and what does he do in less than 30 seconds? Go.
What I do here at Sykes Harley-Davidson, I am currently the custom lead. And also service lead. So I help Donna out on the service desk. But one of my main,
area of expertise?
Yep, like that, is to help people on their custom journey.
I mean, it does suggest area of expertise that you're an expert at it, right?
Well, I'm kind of hoping I am.
Let's see how we get through and how awkward these questions are to see whether, indeed, Mr. Gary Ticehurst is an expert at custom bikes.
Excellent.
So, super quick, obviously start just to kind of get an idea of who you are. Like I say, you are one of the longest serving members of the Sykes team. You've been here a little while, so let's go all the way back to the start of your Sykes career. When did you first join Sykes Harley-Davidson?
June 2003.
Do you know what date it was?
10th.
Do you know what the weather was?
Sunny.
Do you know whether you immediately got on with Steve at that point? No comment. They're both exactly the same. Hopefully he's like, oh yes, politically correct, guys. I like that. So, what did you say? Sorry, date again?
June 10th.
June 10th, year?
2003.
I'm a great host. I can't even remember what you just said to me two seconds ago. 2003. So you're in your 21st year then.
That's right. Yeah.
That's quite a while. I mean, a lot of the time we can say people are part of the woodwork, but you probably made the woodwork, right?
Yes, I do supply the woodworm for the woodwork.
Is that from your personal stash?
Yeah.
Personal stash at woodwork. So 2003, what was your first thing that you slotted into here at Sykes?
I originally started in bike sales.
And how was that for you? Was that fun?
It was fun back then. There was the less legal side of things.
Less legal?
Yeah, sort of. So not so much paperwork. It really was someone come in, buys a bike, goes out with bike. It was just a simpler time, less targets, I guess.
Easier.
Just easier. It's just the dealership was on the whole. We were learning as we were going because we were only 6 months old when I joined.
So that's back to the Shaw days, right? Before it was a John Deere factory farm thing.
No, we still had it wasn't John Deere, but we still had tractors here.
Alongside Harleys.
Alongside Harley for a couple of years. Yeah.
Farmers buying John Deere and all that, and also buying anniversary Fat Boys.
Well, a lot of people into more sports bikes have always regarded Harley-Davidsons as tractors anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk, so it kind of makes sense. Did you sell many diggers alongside your Harleys? You were just wholly focused on your Harley-Davidson?
They were split.
Split.
The businesses were completely split, yeah.
So you had a slight advantage, then you have to delve into, what is the best combine harvester or something like that for specific jobs for pulling up corn. And can you tell how limited my farming knowledge is that I tried to put an anecdote or a little bit of a reference in there, combine harvester.
Yeah, ooh-ar.
Also, it is the international rule that you cannot say combine harvester without putting on a West Country accent, right?
No, that's right. You have to, and then drink some cider.
Try it out for yourselves at home, folks. Just see if you can actually say combine harvester without doing that. So sales starting out. Let's go all the way back. So who did you sell your first bike to? This is a test because actually no, was it? I'm referring to a conversation that we had earlier that I've tried to throw into this, but
I've got a feeling it was a night train.
Nice bike.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a night train. First bike.
What colour? Do you remember?
Black.
Black, obviously vivid black.
They only came in black.
So that's not a bad first bike to kind of run into, right? I mean, I suppose the bikes on offering there are a little bit different. I'd say a little bit different, probably a lot different to what we've got on offer now, right?
Yeah, I suppose the night train was the breakout of the day, I suppose. It was that kind of 21-inch front wheel, slammed look.
Was the night train similar to the the V-Rod, dropped out? Or was it slightly different?
No, V-Rod very different.
I'm trying to get confused with which ones are which. I mean, the limitations of my Harley knowledge is pretty much the last couple of years, or anything beyond that I've had to, purposefully myself research and look into. But anyway, this podcast is not about me and how limited my Harley-Davidson knowledge is. So sales starting out, how did your career progress through then? I mean, because obviously for where you are now starting out with sales, what was the journey to that? How did you change departments?
I think I was getting heavily involved in the motor clothes as well. And because I come from a driving background, I was always out in the van as well, driving. So, and from there, I eventually fell into the parts department.
So you've got logistics, you've got clothing in there, you've got sales. That's pretty cohesive offering, right? Was it more a case that back then you just had to get stuck in every department because there weren't specifics for those departments?
That's right, yeah. We had less staff, so we never really had a motor clothes person. So it was more of a case of just helping out behind the counter, and then
didn't have a Carolina.
Didn't have a Carolina back then. So then I ended up doing orders for clothing and making sure stock was right and all sorts of things like that.
So back in the day, everybody had to pitch in and get involved.
A little bit, yeah. Sales guys delivering bikes and
unheard of now, right?
Usually.
I mean, to be fair, I'm always out and about in the van sometimes, but maybe the rest of them not so much. But so what was the move then from sales? I mean, you different departments, and where did you end up after sales then? Because we know that you didn't always be a sales guy. What was your shift after that then?
No, that's right. I think Steve needed a parts person, and I'd already built up a few years of knowledge of the bikes, so it was almost like a natural position change. From there, I think I was parts person for a good few years under another manager.
When did you shift to parts? What was your move across? I'm trying to clue you now on every single date of every instance.
It was a Wednesday. It was in about 2007-ish.
I like it, 2007-ish, but you definitely know it was a Wednesday.
And it was raining.
Always raining down this part, right? Sunny. The the fact that I've literally got the beautiful Sussex South Downs when it's not raining, right? It's not too bad down this way. So the shift across the parts, that's obviously a bit of a jump away from sales. I mean, like you say, you sort of had the knowledge with the part side of things. Is there like a personal kind of like appeal to the part side of stuff for you? I mean, is that like a nerdy thing? You like getting into like the nuts and bolts and things like that?
I was supposed to start off with, no, it was just I will do whatever it means. I love coming to this place to work, and I'll be happy wherever.
I mean, 20 odd years, you've got to be reasonably happy to stick it out for that long.
Oh, definitely, right? Yeah. But the more I got into the parts department, it like you say, it does get a little bit nerdy. You do find knowing part numbers for the most ridiculous things, like sump washers.
What's the part number for a sump washer?
Treble 105.
Okay, that's a nerdy one for you. Anybody ever need sump washers? Just quote that code.
But yeah, so yeah, and I enjoyed it, and it was very much in the parts department. It's always something different. I like it if someone comes in one day, they've got they want a bit for a brand new bike, and then the next person wants something from the 70s, and you've got to try and find it, and it's a good feeling knowing that you know where to get that bit.
I suppose like adding a little bit more to someone else's bike that they've already got. I mean, I get the appeal of the whole selling new bikes and things like that, but I suppose knowing that someone is kind of going through that journey of like personalization themselves, and you've had a hand in that, especially for the older stuff as well. It must be hard to be able to find parts for anything that's like over, I don't know, 15, 20 years old, I guess.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So we have sort of a load of aftermarket books we can look through, put OEM part numbers in, and normally we can find those parts. It doesn't always work that way, but yeah, a lot of stuff's been obsolete now because things move on.
They do indeed. So you've always been a Harley guy before you came here? I mean,
that's the reason I came here,
because you were a Harley guy,
but I'd never owned one. That bar and shield. The first time I saw the dealership, we had just come back from a family trip to Florida, where there was the bar and shield everywhere, and we just came past here. It was a December. I think the shop had been open like about 3 days, and it was like, oh my God, there's the bar and shield.
Brand new sign outside.
Where did that come from? And I think I went in there like about a week later, spoke to a few salespeople, and then I just saw it advertised a few months after that, and I was like, I've got to work there.
It must be like a glowing beacon or something. You drive past and you don't see it, and then this bright orange, white, and black symbol just looming through the air.
Yeah, it almost left you speechless. It's like, what?
Slightly biblical. You almost got like the sun shining through behind it, breaking through the clouds.
I nearly got my prayer mat out and started praying.
So you weren't always a Harley owner as such, but obviously getting into a Harley dealership, you're inevitably going to end up on your own Harley, right? So what was your first one?
It was a 1200 Sportster Custom.
Nice bike. Partial to a Sportster here. What year was that?
It was a 98.
Was it a good looking bike?
No.
Was it ugly?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
About $4,000.
That's actually not. I suppose inflation and everything, however many years ago, it's probably not a bad price. But 1200 custom Sportster, not a bad one. What was bad about it?
It was purple and chrome.
Purple and chrome, like sort of Purple Rain style pearlescent tank.
Yeah.
Proper hideous.
Yeah.
Hard candy custom style.
No, not hard candy. It was called Concord Purple.
Concord Purple.
Concord Purple. Didn't stay like that for very long though.
What did you do to it?
It went matte black with white walls and ape hangers.
Nice. And was that all done by yourself?
No, Neil, our custom tech.
Shout out to Neil.
He did it.
And then was that you just went through parts catalogues or, I fancy a bit of that, fancy a bit of this?
No, we completely went off-piste. Maybe even sort of toying with custom proper.
Proper custom. So we do like a little bit of custom fabrication here, don't we? So, I mean, what's your journey been then from that first Sportster? I mean, because I think have you had a couple over the years?
Yeah, I've had 2 Harleys, both Sportsters.
And what was the second one? Because I remember posting about the second one, and you were forever like, "Oh God, I hate getting rid of that bike." It's like traumatic for you every time I post a photo of that bike.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, my second one, I think it was an 883 Sportster, but again, it was customised when I bought it, and then I did some more stuff to it, painted it.
Matte black always.
No, it went grey.
Oh, curveball. I suppose the style was different.
Yeah.
You always like
grey.
I mean, it's a slightly lighter shade of black, right? It's not like you're going, back to your purple roots or anything like that.
Never go back to purple. No.
What would be your dream Harley?
A slim.
What year?
Any. Yeah. I love the slim. It's a classic looking bike.
Slim S, big fan of. I like the army style one that we've got in.
Yeah. We've got one down unused at the moment. I do love that. That is
like when you sort of bob them out a little bit as well, that chop that back end, springer seats and things like that. They're quite nicely done.
It doesn't always need it. A slim was so basic looking. All it kind of needed was a stage 1 or stage 2, obviously.
Or stage 4, because obviously, we do specialise in parts and upgrades here. You're supposed to be selling it to people.
Yeah, and obviously upgrade suspension. But yeah, other than a set of pipes, the slim was on the money.
What pipes do you go for though?
Something simple, sort of just classic / cut.
Short shots?
No, too loud.
Don't like a shorty. Not like Cobras or anything then?
No, I do on the right bike.
Yeah. Don't want to be loud and obnoxious.
No.
What did you have on your 48s?
Short shots.
Classic. I mean, they go part and parcel, right? Sportster, 48, stick some short shots on it. The Eliminator exhaust is quite a nice one as well. It's that kind of downswept. What's your favourite exhaust? I mean, let's get nerdy part stuff. Favourite exhaust?
Favourite exhaust? Crikey.
I quite like the Cobra pipes on the Sportster S.
I do like the Cobra pipe.
They are about as obnoxious as a set of pipes I think you can get, right?
My favourite pipe brand is Jekyll and Hyde.
Have you been paid to say that?
I have not been paid to say that.
Shout out to Jekyll and Hyde. Great pipes. If you want to be obnoxious but also not obnoxious, they are a good option, right?
They're an amazing option. But forget the practicality of them and everything. When they're in loud mode, it is one of the most beautiful Harley sounds. It's just so nice, deep.
Yeah, it's got that sort of like almost like a V8 kind of NASCAR rumble to it in a way.
Yeah,
I suppose the whole Rolling Thunder mentality to the same approach. It was a good set of pipes. So we got Jekyll and Hyde on 3 of the most recent custom bikes we did, right?
That's right, yeah.
And what were the models on those? Shorties?
They are shorties, yeah.
So what makes a shorty exhaust? Because I think this is where kind of, I guess, the limitation for, say, me as a general Joe public punter kind of thing. It's like, what is a shorty style exhaust? Is it just the way that it's built? I mean, is it just literally a fabricated name that they put on stuff?
That's it.
It's marketing.
Yeah, because I think most of the Jekyll and Hyde slip-ons are either shorty or is it a bomb or something like that?
It's testing your product knowledge now. I don't confess to being an expert on pipes by any means, but obviously it's good to know like the difference between them. So Speed and Custom is obviously a big part of Harley-Davidson. Speed and Custom wouldn't be Speed and Custom without customization and parts. And you've obviously been a big part of Speed and Custom as a whole. So how did that come about?
I think Speed and Custom came about when a customer or customers wanted something more than what Harley-Davidson could offer. So we have our big P&A catalogue with your pegs, your grips, screens and stuff like that. But then people would come in and go, what if I don't want a skull and a grip from, a peg and a grip from that book? What else is there? And what if we do this? And can we make that? And we go, actually, yeah, we might be able to. So it just built from there, really. It was like the next step rather than just an accessorized bike from the catalogue. It was hang on, let's make your bike completely one-off. And that's where Speed and Custom sort of rose from.
So was it just kind of like a concept in-house that then soon became its own kind of like entity in a way?
It did, yeah.
And you started to build different bikes. I mean, did the focus on parts kind of spur on Speed and Custom? I guess having a depth of knowledge within the parts and availability and what you can and can't do. I imagine that's going to then stoke the fires for, I guess, capability of what you can offer through Speed and Custom, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So once you start looking in the aftermarket world, and with the just use of the internet and seeing what bikes are out there already being built and inspirations for people, you need to find out how they're building their bikes.
I mean, I guess the internet has probably just fueled the custom market, right? Because there's more out there, more inspiration. You see more of people doing different things, unique stuff. And it probably, I mean, for the likes of someone like Neil that is already say, a bit of an alchemist, I guess, when it comes to building motorcycles. But at the moment, you've got untapped resource for knowledge, inspiration, stuff like that. That's got to be a real drive for what you're doing, right? And I suppose from what you're seeing from that parts perspective, the more visuals you start to see, like we see tons of postcards and things that you get from like Thunderbike and stuff down in the parts department. So is that more that kind of like stokes the fuel for the fire in a way to keep you wanting to do more as you go out there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, but Neil will look at things differently than any of us. So he looks at it from almost like an artist, whereas we will be the supplier of...
So you're just like, here is some paint and a paintbrush.
Here's your paint, here's your brush, and do what you do.
So the parts catalogue is the paint and the brush, and the bike is the canvas.
Yeah.
And Neil is our resident Picasso.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not a bad way of looking at it in a way. I don't know if Neil would probably ever want to be referred to as Picasso, but obviously, so let's go all the way back. Speed and Custom, what was the first official instance of it then? What kind of year are we talking for Speed and Custom first being on the map, so to speak?
I reckon 2010, when we entered a bike into the AMD World Championship of Bike Building.
I did have that as a question for whatever reason. It looks like... okay, so one of the questions actually is for later on, which we will get to. Gary's already jumping ahead. This is what you need out of a good podcast guest, someone that basically just answers all the questions that you've scripted for yourself earlier, and then have to try and think, okay, what can I do to drop in to actually get a little bit more fat out of this one? Anyway... Oh, God, it's just a wet and miserable day. And then to try and get a podcast out of it. And then my watch is going off to say my dog's home. Not that anybody at home needs to know that one. I like how it just gets... Every single time I sit down with anybody, it's like, okay, yeah, purposeful. And then just waffle. I think Steve is the best for waffling. But going off on tangents especially, and me then panicking, being like, oh shit, no, okay, yep, we are actually recording a podcast here. Anyway, listeners, enough crap waffling from me. There was a swear in there as well, which I don't even know if we're bleeping out swears anymore, because I think off the back of the Bobhead guys, being northern, it's part of the vocabulary. But anyway, so 2010, did you say, for the AMD World Championship?
Yeah.
So that was, if I'm right in saying, the first time a bike builder outside of the UK had won that.
Yeah, so we won it in London.
And it was modified Harley-Davidson category, right?
Modified Harley-Davidson category, yeah. We won it in London, and then that gave us a ticket to take that to Sturgis. And then, yeah, we were the first ever dealership to have won the competition. It's always been outside builders. And we were the first people from Europe or from England ever to win it.
That's quite the accolade.
It was huge.
I mean, that's a big statement as a custom builder, right? To go out, especially to go up against the Yanks. And I did have a look on the website earlier to kind of look at some of the history of the Bike Building World Championship. And the year you won it, it's just British at the top, United Kingdom flag, and then it's just all Americans underneath.
Right, yeah.
Was there another one as well? It was like a couple of years later, and you came fourth,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know what build that was. What build was that one? I did have a look at that one. It was what one was it? This is just awkward silence now as we both try and like rack our brains for... Was there HDLE? What was that one?
We did have an HDLE, yeah.
Did that get entered as well?
I don't know.
Was it 110 LE, something like that? I don't know. Well, we'll try and like rectify.
We'll find out.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if I go back afterwards and I'll see what the bike is, and maybe we'll drop a picture in so everybody can see, like, okay, the bike that we've completely forgotten about. So as we come very, very close to our mid-break, to allow me to go and turn the camera off and on again, because obviously professional as ever. So please bear with us momentarily, listeners, and we will be immediately back. Can't even talk with Mr. Gary Tyser. So we will be back momentarily. So welcome back, listeners. That was our very momentarily camera off and on break.
It wasn't even offered ice cream.
I know, like the interval. I probably need to be working on. Get someone to come out with the. I can't remember what it was. I was at the theatre over the weekend, but they've always got. Is it Jude's ice cream? Really fancy, middle class, proper, like premium proper. You got a remortgage for like a little pot of it.
A little pot of caramel.
I don't know why they don't offer up just monster ones. Ben and Jerry's, whole half a litre tub. Who wants to just bash one of those out whilst you're through the theatre? I'm sure I'd probably have a good go at it, but I like how straight back in from the break, talk about ice cream. So let's get back to talking about motorcycles. So there's been a lot that's come from Speed and Custom over the years, but what are some standout memories for you? I mean, one I've got noted here is Saint-Tropez. It's obviously very fancy with the Rockstar bike.
Yep,
if
Rockstar.
memory serves correct.
What else did we take down there? The Bat bike. Steve got a little bit worried at one point because he thought I was going to do a burnout on stage with that.
Nice. Would you have been allowed to?
No.
Are you any good at doing burnouts?
Not really.
Yeah,
It could have gone wrong.
25, 30 grand bike, just come like backwards, upside down into a crowd of very rich people in Saint-Tropez. That would be good. That would be a good memory for you. Probably good that you didn't do that. I mean, any other kind of standout memories from Speed and Custom over the years?
Well, just we used to do a lot of shows. They were just good fun.
I mean, Saint-Tropez is like up there, right? You don't often get to go out and get the glitz and glamour of Saint-Tropez.
No, that was something else. We'd done a couple in Germany as well, but not quite as warm.
It's not a bad part of the world, but yeah, Saint-Tropez, when it gets really nice and sunny, I can imagine that's pretty decent. So, I mean, what are some of the more memorable builds that you've kind of had a part in over the years? Because there's a lot of bikes that have gone out from Speed and Custom, right?
Well, this is it, yeah. You sort of get to the point where you actually struggle thinking.
I mean, the fact that we couldn't even remember which was the other one that went to the AMD World Championship. There's a lot of bikes that Gary has to try and remember.
I know. There was one Cat in the Hat, I think.
Because I've got them all saved on a hard drive, and I don't think there's all of the bikes ever built on
there probably isn't.
And there's a lot of bikes on there as well. And to kind of see that and the scope of all the bikes that have gone out over the years, you know, we're only talking, 14 odd years that it's kind of like been around. Yeah, but the amount of bikes that have gone out over that time are pretty significant.
I know. It's a shame that we didn't document them as well as we do now, you know, with all social medias and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some of the bikes would have just come in, built, gone out, maybe never even seen again.
So what was the cat would you say Cat in the Hat?
Cat in the Hat was just a cool soft tail. It was, again, just a simple build.
Was it like Dr. Seuss inspired, or did it just have a random name?
Maybe it did. I didn't get involved with this one, but it just had a little Sportster tank on it. And it just looked right. It looked proper chopper.
Proper well-built bikes. I guess that's the thing, right? So with all of the bikes that have gone out over the years, there have been some, so we say, celebrity builds as well. So again, going off the reference of bikes that I've seen in the hard drive that I've got, so the likes of Matt Willis from Busted.
I delivered
Shaky
that.
Burn. I've seen photos of you delivering that one as well.
Yeah.
Shaky Burn as well. He's had a couple of bikes, right, for the Speed Custom.
Yeah.
And then more notably, The Rock as well for the GTB.
Yeah, I don't think he ever owned it, but I was able to deliver that myself to the studios. Met his mum.
Nice.
We met his mum on set.
You didn't meet him?
Yeah, but originally that bike was just supposed to be a prop in the back of the garage at the start of the film. Apparently when the director saw it, he was like, need to do something with that. And then that whole scene of The Rock riding to beat the living daylights out of someone, that was all added. So yeah, it was never supposed to be there. It was going to be there was a big old Cherokee Jeep in his garage, and you were just supposed to have seen the back end of the bike in there, and that was it.
And then it literally ended up being one of the most prominent parts of that movie. Yeah. I mean, it's like pretty good credentials, right? But I suppose there's limitations on what you can and can't do when it comes to a bike that's in a movie, right? Like legislation and NDAs and things. You're not allowed to talk about stuff until we're going to tell you to talk about it.
No,
but having that kind of depth of celebrity tie-ins, shall we say, then obviously builds even further with the credentials of Speed and Custom. So it's that further progression of getting yourselves out there, and I guess that was where, like, I suppose the peak of Speed and Custom was to really be out there amongst the celebrities. I mean, you can't really argue with much better than that when you've got some of the world's most famous people knocking on your door to try and get custom builds.
No, that's right. No.
So what's it like dealing with celebrities? I mean, did you physically deal with Matt Willis from Busted at all, or?
No. Steve would have dealt with all of that.
And then you just do all the parts bits.
Yeah, but it was still good fun to go up to his house and deliver it, and you're just sitting there having a coffee with Emma Willis in their kitchen.
Of course, yeah. I forgot that they were just together.
It's just quite mad, quite surreal.
So some cool memories, I guess, then for Speed and Custom as a whole. So, I mean, we could obviously go further and further into it, but if you do want to find out more, just go and check out speedandcustom.com. There's a ton of bikes on there, more to be loaded as well, because there has been a brand new, complete overhaul of the Speed and Custom website, but there are some bikes on there. You can find us on social media as well, across Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to check out some more of the Speed and Custom builds, go and find us. I'll drop links down into the descriptions of YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this one, just so you can see where all our Speed and Custom stuff is. So as far as custom builds as a whole, Gary, I mean, what are some common challenges that you face when you're working on custom projects, and how do you overcome them? Because no two bikes are always going to be the same. So, how do you go about running through those challenges if someone, say, wants a specific thing, but you might be able to do it, you might not be able to do it? Like, how do you go about, working through challenges when it builds a custom bike?
The first thing, if it is something a little bit more challenging, is I will go straight to the builders. I shall go and see Neil, or I'll go see Joey in the workshop and say, look, this is what we want to do. Before I start getting silly, can we do it?
And what's it like when a customer is like, but I need this. This is what I want.
Well, there'll always be ways around it. If that isn't physically possible, then there'll always be alternatives.
So it's a case of like the only limitation is imagination and budget.
Yeah, usually.
And how good your custom builder is.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got one of the best in the world. Not that, throwing the credentials out there of being a world championship winning a bike builder, but I mean, it's up there. I would say we need to scream and shout about that more, but there's like an 8-foot wide poster in the showroom. So I'd say that's throwing it up there a fair bit. I mean, as far as like anybody, say, that wanting to get into customization, I mean, what tips would you have for someone that's considering customizing their bike for the first time?
What, them doing the work or bringing
Well,
it
so
us?
if someone wanted to come in, like what advice, if it was me and I was like, I've got this bike, maybe I've got an idea of this, what sort of tips would you give to someone going through their first process? What advice would you say, right, this is the best way to go about it?
I suppose you've got to make sure they tick off things like, will it be comfortable? Will it be practical? I know the custom bikes never are, but you've still got to ride it. You've still got to feel at ease on it, make sure that it rides properly on the road. And then anything else, whether you need to take a pillion, whether you need to be on the motorways, you just got to do this mental list.
So you give like sort of certain considerations. I mean, do you ever find that there are sometimes certain requests and you're just flat out like, no, it can't be done, from more of kind of like I guess a recommendation, but also a safety perspective sometimes? Yeah,
I suppose so. I haven't really sort of come into it, but I can imagine there would be, yeah.
So you have to be the sort of voice of reason and be like, it would look really, really cool, but unfortunately it's not actually that practical.
No, like tassels on the handlebars or something, that would be impractical.
But not unheard of, right? No. Leather tassels, or do you go with like the sort of pink and blue cheerleader ones?
Leather with beads.
With the beads as well. Is it going to scratch your paintwork?
Yeah, that's it. So it might get in your eye.
Some good safety tips there for fellow custom enthusiasts. So I mean, like I say, we could go like right into the depths of Speed and Custom as a whole, but we will get to our regular feature. So as with all guests, I normally do a usual Hogmaster quiz, which is quickfire general knowledge for Harley-Davidson themed stuff. But seeing as this is a custom / Speed and Custom / parts / mainly Speed and Custom themed episode, we're going to be changing the quiz up to Speedmaster. Speedmaster. So this is like the quickest thing I could think of, the rebranding for Hogmaster, which is a rebranding for Popmaster, the famous Ken Bruce quiz from Radio 2. I'm not putting on a fake Scottish accent for you. But 5 questions, Gary, all based on Speed and Custom. Okay. 2 of which I think you have already answered. But let's get into it.
Well, I hope I don't get those ones wrong this time.
Yeah, that would be awkward, wouldn't it? Right, question number 1. What number would you find on the side of the Porsche Spider build? Now, the test is like how good is his eyesight, because I've literally got the questions up in front of me. So do you need stronger...
Can't read that.
No, you can't read that. So you probably need to go and get your eyes checked.
130.
Did you just... I'm going to subtly turn that one. I don't know if that's cheating or not, or whether you've just conveniently read it off my screen. Let us know, listeners, if you feel that Gary is just literally straight cheated on the first question. Question number 2. This is going to be awkward if you get this wrong. What year did Speed and Custom win the AMD World Championships of Bike Building?
2010.
That's correct. Question number 3. Name the film that The Rock rode the GTB build in.
Is it that one?
Oh,
Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay, for those of you listening at home, there is literally a poster in the office that we're filming the podcast in with said Dwayne The Rock Johnson sat on said GTB build. I really haven't thought these questions through. I probably should have given you some harder ones. Maybe I can think of a super quick one that's not, oh, here is the answer for you. I need to double check around this just to make sure there's no obvious clues for anything. Okay, so 3 for 3. Technically 1 cheating, technically 3 I've given you the answer for. Question number 4. What condiment would you associate with the 2019 Battle of the Kings? I thought this was a very clever question. So what was the build for the 2019 Battle of the Kings? And what condiment?
Condiments?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you have on a hot dog?
Oh, mustard.
Yes, there you go.
Mustard.
Like holding your hand through these. Okay, right, last one. See if you can get 5 for 5. Technically 1 we've given you, well, technically 2 I've given you the answer for. 1 being a poster and 1 I've led you to. Question number 5. Name the 2 bikes that Speed and Custom has built for renowned contemporary artist Grayson Perry.
The Flying Bogey.
Correct. And?
The other one.
The other one. You know what the other one's called?
No.
You don't? Oh, so, okay, I don't know if that's half a point. The other one is the bike called the Gobstopper.
Oh, it is the Gobstopper. Let's go backwards.
Okay, ignore that. Name the 2 bikes that Speed and Custom built for renowned contemporary artist Grayson Perry.
I've forgotten.
0 points for that one. Gobstopper is a hell of a bike, though, right?
That is mad.
It's a psychedelic, crazy. I mean, psychedelic is an understatement for that bike. I think we need to shout out Image Design Custom for that bike because the paint on that is insane. I don't know how many different paint colors there are on that bike, but for any of you at home that haven't seen it, go and find it. Go and find Google, type of the Gobstopper Grayson Perry. It is an incredible piece of kit.
It's hypnotic.
It really is, but that's a complete custom build from the ground up, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Every last nut and bolt is all considered. So well done, Gary, for getting...
Not many.
4 maybe. I mean, let us know, listeners. I mean, I'll let you score this one because inevitably I am really, really crap at getting either the questions right or the scoring correct, as we found out through the Bobhead one. Just a note with the Bobhead one, actually, Damo, if you're listening, I do technically owe you a point for the previous one. But I mean, unfortunately, I can't go back and change the score, so your score is going to have to sit. But let us know, listeners, how many points has Gary got for his 1 of 1 Speedmaster quiz? Is that 3? Is it 4? Have we given him 4.5? Should we deduct 1 for the cheat? Should we deduct 1 for the fact that there's a poster where we're recording the podcast? Don't let him influence you, but please do let us know. So, not too bad, actually, that. I mean, for me, bumbling my way through questions that I thought were really, really good, I thought the mustard one was quite clever. The other ones, not so much, because we've literally just given you the answers to and you've read one from my screen. But is there anything you'd like to add in before we part our ways, Gary? No. He's probably fed up with the fact that we've dragged him away from his desk for long enough anyway. So I think that's probably about going to wrap things up for this episode. We do short, sharp and sweet ones here just because we don't like to bore everybody. I mean, Gary's probably bored of me waffling on at the best times, and I'm more than likely that everybody at home is probably bored of me waffling on at this time. Because, like I say, professional as ever, it's not like I have a script written down in front of me that I try and work to, but that's always gone really well. So, as I say, that's going to wrap things up for this episode. A huge thank you to Mr. Gary Ticehurst for coming along, loosely chatting about parts, loosely chatting about Speed and Custom, trying to get some questions together, but we did all right. Hey, Gary. So as always, we'd love to hear from our listeners what you thought of Knuckles Up so far, whether you just really want to get to the end of this episode because we've just not really had much filler in that. It's like a sandwich with just tomato. Unless you like a tomato sandwich.
I don't know. No, I like ham and Marmite.
We've got all the ingredients to a good podcast episode somewhere in the mix of stuff with this. So Like I say, as always, we would love to hear what you think of Knuckles Up so far. Let us know what you want to see from upcoming episodes. We do have a few bits lined up. We are going to be diving further and further into the Sykes offering just to give you a little bit more transparency on what we do here at Sykes. If you want to hear more about speed and custom stuff, we can most certainly do that. So please do reach out, let us know. If you've got any questions you would like answered on the podcast, send them over. We can always look at changing up our segments for future episodes. As mentioned, the Knuckles Up podcast drops new episodes on the last Friday of the month. You can watch and subscribe over on the Sykes H-D YouTube channel, and you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you again, everybody, for listening. This has been Mr. Gary Ticehurst. I've been Mr. Elliot Withers, and we will see you in the next episode.